I think synergism and monergism are at play in my system and in everyone's systems in the room, just at different concentrations.
Do you
So
believe that
the
salvation is
initial thing
synergistic or
that when he
monergistic?
said that my claim was that salvation is purely monergistic, I want him to prove that.
Pedro, is salvation synergistic or monergistic?
I'll answer you if you answer me first. When document or bring someone forward who said, "Yeah, Pedro does think that it's purely monergistic."
Me. No, I just answered your question. Now
Okay,
answer mine.
you're
Pedro's
the
yeah,
accuser.
I brought myself forward. You don't like it, that's fine. Now answer my question. Pedro, is salvation synergistic or monergistic?
Both. Been saying that this whole time. Just a different
Um,
concentrate. See, this is why I
it's
don't think
excluded.
you're a valuable interlocutor because
Mm,
you haven't heard anything told to you.
mm.
Even Ty was able to give a great explanation of what I actually believe just now.
Ty agreed with me.
No, Ty just said that monergism and synergism, the Calvinists will admit that those things are both at play in their systems. You just said when I asked you, "Do I have a purely monergistic system?" You said
No,
yes.
that's not what I asked. That's not what I asked you.
No, I didn't ask you anything. I didn't
simple
I didn't ask
question.
you any. See, that's the
I
thing.
didn't say you
I
did.
wasn't answering a question. I asked you the question. Now, are you on
No,
drugs?
no, sir.
Okay. So I asked you, when have I ever told you that salvation is purely monergistic? And you said, yes, I'm using myself as a witness in the past to attest to this.
You said it was
Yeah.
both. That is a logical
Yes.
contradiction.
Is both an answer?
It's a logical contradiction.
Well,
Is both an answer?
there's a more preliminary question, I suppose. Monergism and
Is both an
synergism,
answer?
are those things mutually exclusive?
Is both an answer?
Not if they're mutually exclusive.
Is both an answer?
You have
Yeah,
your
it's a
answer.
I already answered you, Pedro. Yes, that's a contradictory answer.
Okay, but you can think it's contradictory, but it's still an answer. So no one's not answering your questions. You just don't like the answers.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
I'm happy with the answer, Pedro. I'm pointing out your answer is contradictory.
How?
Like, I'll go with your question. Sorry about that.
no, I was just gonna
Whoa,
say,
whoa, 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 whoa,
Does
don't go
Pedro?
ahead with it. Tell us how it's contradictory.
That's what we're
How is it
talking.
contradictory to have synergism and monergism at play
blackout
in
was just
salvation?
getting blackout was just getting to that.
Yeah,
No, don't run. Don't
he's not
run.
running. He's
I need you
only
to see. I need you to answer it, RC. How is it contradictory to acknowledge monergism and in synergism going on in your in a methodology for salvation? Salvation. How's that contradictory?
Well, I guess he answered the question, RC. He doesn't view those as mutually exclusive. He
Mm,
views them as being,
there you
yeah.
go.
So there you go. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're not okay. So Becca, you're not even giving a counter argument at this point. Do you realize that?
Yeah, that's why
Oh my
we can just
goodness.
say prove it. Can you
What
prove it?
Well,
what an
let me
observation,
finish.
dude. What an observation.
Eon
Pedro,
2.0.
I love this. So you're
Hey, let's let Blackout finish real quick. Hey, Blackout, what were you gonna say?
I I wasn't making an argument. I was asking a question because Pedro made what most people would understand to be a contradictory
You claim
statement.
that these two things. Okay,
Okay,
so
and so he was asked about this.
I'll frame this perfectly.
Hmm.
We're trying to figure out within a system if you can have synergism and monergism present in different concentrations at different stages of it, right? You guys say it's contradictory for both those things to be present within the methodology of someone's soteriology according to their
not
theology.
the question, Pedro. Question was
I'm asking one simple thing. Please explain that.
I didn't ask about your system, Pedro. I asked a simple question. Is
Why are you
salvation
defending
synergistic
Blackout? He was
or
asking Blackout
monergistic?
a question.
Pedro,
Okay,
can you
so
answer that question? Is salvation
yes, I can answer
synergistic
that
or
question. You
monergistic?
just need to shut up for a minute just to hear the answer. Salvation is, in fact, something put into a scope, into a system in people's theology that's explicated by their faith traditions to determine, in this very specific scenario,
Yeah, exception.
at different stages, is monergism or synergism in higher or lower concentration. I think everybody in this room, if we ask them the right questions, are going to admit to some level of monergism and synergism going on in their system. You tried to say that I was a purist. I said no. When I said I admit to both being present in my system, like any rational human being would, you guys started chomping at the bit, saying all these jokes and stuff. I'm just asking the
I mean,
question,
just
how is it
ignore RC,
contradictory?
honestly.
All right, so
If
Pedro,
Blackout has a response, you should give it. 'Cause that was the
out of all that
question.
out of all that yap session that just happened,
And
Pedro,
diatribe. It was a diatribe as well.
And now he's just saying that you're a bad person, apparently.
synergistic or monergistic, Pedro?
Both.
Oh, thank you. I just want to get that on recording. You have a good one, Pedro.
Yeah, salvation.
Oh wait, he's recording. What a loser! Hey, Blackout, do you have an actual?
A few moments later.
All right. Can a person be simultaneously a monergist and a synergist? Like, in other words, can those two things like coexist in your system?
Not in the same sense, in the same way, because they're mutually exclusive.
They're what? They're mutually exclusive?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Slick. I really appreciate that.
Okay. If you're talking about salvation, right?
Absolutely.
You're either monergistic or you're not. You're synergistic. False religions, cults are all synergistic. True Christianity is monergistic.
Got it. So if you have any kind of synergism inside of your salvation, you are a false religion, correct?
You're a false convert, yeah.
A false convert. So if somebody like mixes or blends the two, they're false convert. Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. No further questions.
A few moments later.
Can someone ask Matt? I'm doing something here that you won't be able to hear me. Can someone ask Matt what Pedro said? Is salvation monergistic or synergistic?
I just did.
What do you say?
No, it's got to be either monergistic or synergistic. And if you have any kind of synergism, you are a false convert. It's false.
Bro.
Did we get that on recording?
I hope so.
Yeah.
There was a discussion prior, Matt, where some folks on the server were claiming that God operates in a monergistic and synergistic manner. It wasn't specified by what percentage, it just different concentrations, mixes it was described as. And I thought that was confusing because I said myself, yeah, those are mutually exclusive. But I wanted your take since you are a subject matter expert on Reformed Theology. So I think we got it, guys.
Well, monergism is not synergism. Synergism is not monergism. They're exclusive. So how can you have both? It doesn't make sense.
I agree. That was my confusion, but there was a discussion on it for about 20 minutes in here, and I'm very happy you came tonight. I was able to ask you that question. We got some clarity here on that.